Member statement. Member for Inuit-owned, Mr. Lightstone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise in the House today to bring attention to Nunavut's territorial energy policy situation and the implications it has for all Nunavummiut. Concerns have been raised by Inuit-owned organizations around the opacity of the policy development process led by Qulliq Energy Corporation and the absence of partnership and collaboration with Inuit embedded within energy policies. Mr. Speaker, in May of 2020, the Qulliq Energy Corporation requested ministerial approval of a rate proposal for renewable energy sales from commercial and institutional customers, equal to the cost of fuel that Qulliq Energy Corporation would save, or 25 cents per kilowatt hour. 5 months later, the Utility Rates Review Council determined that rate proposal should be denied. Included in this rationale for the recommendation were comments on the pricing structure being too low and insufficient engagement with stakeholders. Nevertheless, the minister of the day responsible for Qulliq Energy Corporation at that time still approved the avoided cost of diesel rate and asked Qulliq Energy Corporation to prepare a new pricing proposal for the final commercial and institutional power producer policy submission, respecting the Utility Rate Review Council's recommendations. As such, a report investigating alternative pricing structures was commissioned by the Qulliq Energy Corporation based on a request for proposal issued in February of 2021. The final report was due 90 days after commencement of services. However, this report has never been publicly accessible. Today, more than 2 years after the minister requested a new pricing proposal respecting the Utility Rates Review Council's recommendation, Qulliq Energy Corporation is yet to submit one with the commercial and institutional power producer policy in full. A finalized independent power producer program is approaching our doorstep for approval, fashioned on a similar pricing that, in application, has not been successful. Mr. Speaker, my statement is lengthy but does include some important messaging, and I request consent to conclude my statement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member seeking unanimous consent to conclude his statement. Are there any nays? There are none. Please proceed, Mr. Lightstone.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, colleagues, for unanimous consent. Mr. Speaker, local renewable power producers are offered non-negotiable contracts that heavily favor Qulliq Energy Corporation and do not respect the recommendations of the Utility Rates Review Council. Inuit-owned operations that endeavor to move away from diesel power are resorting to cutting themselves off from publicly owned community power distribution systems via standalone microgrids in order to move forward with renewable energy integration to reduce their operational costs and reduce our carbon footprints in alignment with federal codes and standards. Mr. Speaker, on October 11th, 2022, Qulliq Energy Corporation advertised a call for public feedback on the independent power producer policy on Twitter and on their website. That was open for just 9 days. Mr. Speaker, 9 business days is not an adequate time frame for Nunavummiut to analyze the policy and provide meaningful responses. Information has not been provided to the public on how feedback is being incorporated. At present, there is no accountability framework to ensure energy policies such as the commercial and institutional power producer program and the independent power producer program reflect the needs and rights of Nunavummiut. In closing, Mr. Speaker, energy policy is foundational to Nunavummiut reducing our carbon footprint, reducing and stabilizing energy costs, and mitigating public health impacts associated with fossil fuels. Furthermore, our government's energy policies must support and incentivize Inuit-owned organizations to expediently develop and sell renewable energy for a fair price with fair terms. and hold collaboration with Inuit as a core principle. It will be government's responsibility to ensure that a final independent power producer policy approved by Cabinet reflects these essential parameters. And Mr. Speaker, I'd like to give notice to the ministers responsible for Qulliq Energy Corporation and Community Government Services that I will be asking questions about this in the very near future. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member State.